about what actually happened since 2004, since my campaign. I've had 10 years to think about it and been involved in some other campaigns. And what I realized really happened in our campaign in 2004, it was your first campaign. I was the vehicle. I was happy to be the vehicle, and I think I attracted a lot of people your age because I was willing to say what needed to be said, since there were significant numbers of people in my party who were essentially George Bush sycophants, voting for the Iraq War and the taxes and tax cuts without balancing the budget and all that other stuff. And I think that, and so what happened is my campaign became a vehicle for people your age, and you actually changed the entire Democratic Party. A whole bunch of people your age slept on the floor, got paid nothing for a long time, and then $1,000 a month, and redesigned American politics forever. First just in our party, and then for the Republicans as well, although they still haven't quite figured it out. But the imprint that you're making on America and American politics is extraordinary already. You've already elected your first president, and it's really quite a direct lineage. There's a guy named Joe Rosebars who did a lot of the tech for us, and some of the others like Jeremy Burr, some of these people you've heard of and run across in the campaign, they all started my campaign. I hired Joe at the age of 23, left my campaign after I dropped out after Wisconsin, and started a company called Blue State Digital. And Blue State Digital, I hired when I got to the DNC because we had a wonderful building and no debt, but we had nothing in the building. And certainly not a computer program. So we synchronized all of 50 lists. We started investing in lots of states, not just swing states, but Utah, Alaska, places like that. Started winning races in a lot of those places. And Joe and Blue State Digital built the DNC technology. In 2006, a little-known former state senator from Illinois hired Joe Rosebars and all of our people away. I hired Blue State Digital to do his campaign. And so Joe and his crew, and there were some others that didn't go to Blue State Digital, started their own campaigns. There's a guy named Nick O'Mealy who has a book out called The End of Big, which I think you guys ought to read, by the way, because that's what you should see what you're doing here from your perspective, not just from mine. And that's the folks that basically changed everything. And changed everything forever. Because what you all have done at the age of about 25 or 6, or some of you aren't even that, is elected your first president. Barack Obama is the first president of your generation. You supported him because he's a multicultural candidate, and you see yourselves as a multicultural generation. What I explained to a lot of older folks of my age about what's happening here is that, we were all idealistic and very supportive of civil rights and gay rights and all these things, but we didn't grow up with people who are different than we are for the most part. And your generation has friends of every ethnicity, every race, every immigration status, every religion, every sexual orientation, and you all date each other. And thank heavens, now marry each other. So the difference is that this is not a sort of an abstract concept. Your generation is the first truly multicultural generation in the history of the United States, which is the most diverse country on the face of the earth. And when Barack Obama came along, who gives a great speech and was able to encapsulate this, this was your candidate. And some of the things Obama said, which turned out not to work out so well for him, were nonetheless true. I'll give you one example. Obama ran saying that he wanted to bring people together. When he got to Washington, of course, which is always the last place in America to know what's really happening in the rest of America, it's always a tie between the floor of the United States Senate and the Washington Post editorial room for who knows the least about what's happening in America. But when he got there, he discovered there was a group of people that didn't give a damn about America. What they gave a damn about was the Republican Party, and they didn't care what happened. And their agenda was simply to win elections, and you rejected that. And you've been very supportive of this president. You haven't supported everything that he's done, but you've been very supportive of him. You elected him in 2008, the only time in my lifetime as any kind of political person. There were more people on a percentage basis under 35 who voted than those over 65. I've never seen that before. And you did that, so you've elected your first president. So never again will the phrase, "you are the future of the Democratic Party," be allowed to pass anybody's lips, because in fact that's not true. The future is now. You also, and like Barack Obama, you are not a confrontational. You know, our generation will fight to the death over all kinds of stuff, and we intend to go down swinging. Your generation has actually found a way to work together with people you disagree with. And the bandwidth, the ideological bandwidth, is not nearly as great in your generation as it is in ours. And you know, there is no left in this country anymore. I grew up when there was a left, and they were crazy. They were blowing up buildings and shooting people because on the war protests got out of hand, and it was nuts. Now, of course, there's the right wing that's got all the lunatics on their side. But your bandwidth, I'm going to tell you, really, when I got to Washington, nobody in Washington wanted me the DNC chair. Luckily, they only have 77 out of 470 votes. And all the people in the states desperately wanted to change the Democratic Party, so I got elected chair. So I owed nobody in DC anything. The first thing I did was fire all the expensive DC consultants who we'd been paying for 20 years to tell us how to lose all the time. And I hired a 35-year-old African-American pollster named Cornell Belcher, who very modestly calls his company Brilliant